When I moved back home last year, I wasn't expecting anything to feel different. Small towns don't change much. People get older, shops close, new ones open for a few months, and shut down again. I rented an apartment on Grant Street because it was cheap, second floor, right across from this old house that's always just been there. I remembered it from when I was a kid. Nobody ever lived there. The lawn stayed short, the curtains were always drawn, and every Halloween, someone left a candle in its mailbox, always the same kind, white, with a wick that had already been burned. Nobody knew who did it, and people stopped asking a long time ago. I hadn't thought about that place in years, not until Halloween night. It was quiet that evening. The trick-or-treaters were gone. The air smelled like wet leaves, and I was sitting by the window with a beer just watching the street. That's when I noticed it. A light in the window of that house across the street. It took me a second to realize what I was seeing. It wasn't a lamp. It was too soft, too warm. It looked like candlelight. Just one small flame in the upstairs window. At first I thought, okay, maybe someone finally moved in. Maybe they're unpacking. But there hadn't been a car in the driveway all week. I remember leaning closer to the glass and feeling this little drop in my stomach, like I knew it wasn't normal before I could explain why. The curtain behind that light shifted, not a breeze. It moved slow, like a hand brushing it aside. My skin crawled immediately. It's strange how your body just reacts before your head catches up. I stood there a while, just staring, and the longer I looked, the more I realized how still everything else was. The whole street felt held in place. Then, right as I told myself to stop staring, the light went out. A few seconds later, I saw a faint flicker down by the porch, in the mailbox. I couldn't see it clearly from that distance, but it looked like another candle was lit. And that's when my heart started racing. I tried to tell myself someone was just playing a prank. Maybe one of the local teens. Maybe even a neighbor trying to keep the legend going. But I couldn't shake that feeling. The one where your chest feels tight and heavy. I decided to go outside. The air was cold, almost wet, and everything smelled like dirt and smoke. Crossing the street felt wrong. It's hard to describe, but it was like the closer I got to that house, the quieter the world became. The sound of my shoes on the pavement got swallowed up. When I reached the porch, I saw it up close. The mailbox door was open, and a candle really was burning inside. Steady flame, barely moving, as if there wasn't any air at all. The wax had already melted halfway down the sides. I looked up toward the window. The curtain was open now, and there was a faint outline behind it. A shoulder, maybe. A head. It was too dim to tell, but whoever it was, they were facing me. My heart stopped cold. I froze completely. It didn't move. It didn't even flinch when the porch light above me flickered once and died. I backed away slowly, keeping my eyes on that window, and the light inside flickered out again. That's when the candle in the mailbox went out too. Snuffed clean. Not wind, not air. Just gone. I didn't run. I just walked home as calmly as I could. Went straight inside and locked the door. I didn't look out the window for the rest of the night. The next morning, there were 2 police cars parked out front. Apparently, someone on the other side of the block reported seeing smoke from the upstairs window. The fire department checked the whole place. Nothing. But they did find one thing. On the windowsill, where I'd seen that light, there was a perfect black circle burned into the wood. Like a candle, had been sitting there for hours. And right next to it, clear as day in the dust, was a handprint. Small, too small to belong to any adult. They locked the place up again. By afternoon, it looked exactly like before. Curtains closed, house quiet, mailbox empty. That night, I told myself not to look again. I made dinner, sat away from the window, turned off the lights, and watched a movie. When I finally gave in and looked outside, the house was dark. For the first time all day, I felt calm. The next morning, on my way to work, I noticed something in my own mailbox. A small white candle, half melted. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, one of those places where Halloween is still a big deal. Every year, the fire department sets up a bonfire behind the library. Kids run around in costumes, and by midnight, the streets are completely empty again. Nothing ever happens here. That's kind of the point. Behind our old middle school, there's a stretch of woods that leads down to the river. Everyone in town knows about it, but no one really goes back there after dark. The teachers used to say it wasn't safe because of coyotes, but the kids told different stories. That the school used to dump broken equipment down there years ago. Desks, lockers, old lights. And every Halloween, those old lights flickered for a second. Nobody ever agreed on what caused it. Nobody took it seriously. It was just another small-town rumor. On Halloween night, my senior year, a few of us ended up walking that way after the bonfire. It was me, Tyler, and his girlfriend Bree. We weren't looking for trouble. We just wanted a quiet place to hang out for a while. The moon was bright, the air heavy and damp. That kind of October night when you can smell cold metal in the wind. When we got closer to the tree line behind the gym, we noticed something strange. There were lights deeper in the woods, small, soft, and low to the ground. At first, I thought it was someone's campfire or a few flashlights, but the color wasn't right. It wasn't orange or white. It was pale green, like the backlight of an old computer screen. We stood there for a minute, trying to figure out what we were looking at. The lights weren't steady. One would fade, another would glow brighter. Tyler said it was probably kids messing around with glow sticks. But then they started to move. One by one, the lights shifted, not fast, not random. They moved in small, even steps, like they were changing places. It was so slow that at first, it didn't even register what was happening. Then I realized they were forming a shape, a line. My stomach dropped. It was that same feeling you get right before something bad happens. Everything in me wanted to leave. We started backing up toward the field. The air smelled weird now, sharp and metallic, like burning wires. When I turned around, I saw that the fog that had been low over the ground wasn't fog at all. It was smoke, rolling out from the trees. Bree said she heard something, like quiet static, faint but constant. I didn't hear it, but the look on her face made my skin crawl. Then, just like that, every single light went out. The woods went black, not the kind of dark you get in the country. This was worse. You couldn't even see the outlines of the trees. We didn't talk, didn't even yell. We just ran, straight across the field, back toward the school, not stopping until we were on the pavement again, under the floodlights by the parking lot. When I looked back, everything was normal. The fog was gone, the trees were still, and there was nothing but the sound of the flagpole chain tapping in the wind. We didn't tell anyone that night, but the next morning, people were already talking about it. The janitor found something behind the gym while mowing. 10 perfect burn marks in the grass, each one about the size of a dinner plate, all spaced evenly in a straight line that led right into the woods. The local paper ran a short piece about it, called it vandalism, said it was probably left over from fireworks or some kind of prank. But the grass in those circles never grew back. Even now, 15 years later, you can still see them from the track if you know where to look. I drive past that school sometimes on my way to work. They built new fences, new lights, new security cameras. All of it looks normal, but every year around Halloween, someone reports seeing those green lights again, always in the same place, always in a straight line. I don't go near it anymore. Whatever we saw that night, it wasn't kids, and it wasn't a prank. I don't think it wanted to hurt us. But I still feel like we interrupted something we weren't supposed to see. It was Halloween night, the last place I expected to spend. It was at the library. Ours isn't big, one floor, red brick, smells like paper and floor polish. Every year, they stay open late for the town festival. Ghost story readings, candy at the front desk, cider for the parents. It's warm and harmless. The kind of place nothing bad ever happens. I worked there part-time in college, shelving books and closing at night. Under the building, there's a basement, not open to the public, full of old newspapers, maps, broken chairs. Nobody ever went down there except staff. That Halloween, my boss, Mrs. Clark, asked me to stay late and help lock up. We shut the doors around 10. She went to count the donations while I started turning off lights, room by room. By the time I reached the reference section, the building was empty. At least, it should have been. When I passed the basement door, I noticed a faint glow underneath it. The basement light was on. That door's always locked, and only Mrs. Clark has the key. I figured she'd gone down there, so I called her name. No answer. The light coming up from below wasn't white. It was yellow, soft, unsteady, and the air that drifted out was too warm, too still. I told myself not to be stupid and went down the stairs. Halfway down, I heard this low hum, like electricity, but heavier, deeper. The light seemed to come from the back corner near the old archive shelves. Then it went off. For a second, I couldn't see anything at all. When it came back, it was pulsing, slow, steady, bright, dark, bright, dark. That's when I saw it. A chair in the middle of the floor and someone sitting in it. I called out again. They didn't move. Their head hung forward, shadow across their face. The light kept flashing over them. Bright, then gone. I took one more step and my stomach dropped. It wasn't a person. It was one of the old mannequins from the Halloween display. The one that used to sit by the door holding a plastic pumpkin. Someone had dressed it in a staff uniform. The name tag was crooked, jacket sleeves rolled up, and light was leaking out through the seams in its arms and neck, glowing from the inside, like something burning quietly beneath the skin. I didn't think. I ran. By the time I reached the top step, the light went out again. Mrs. Clark was standing in the hallway, asking where I'd been. I told her someone left a mannequin in the basement. She looked confused, said all the Halloween decorations had been packed up and delivered to the elementary school 2 days earlier. When she went to check down the basement, everything was dark. No mannequin, no chair, not even a bulb in the socket. She told me to go home. I didn't argue. A week later, Mrs. Clark called to say they were cleaning out the basement. She asked if I wanted to help, but I told her I was busy. I didn't want to see that room again. A few days after that, she told me something strange. When they moved the old furniture, they found deep scratches on the concrete floor, in the same spot where I'd seen the chair. 4 marks, close together, like something heavy had been dragged in a circle. She laughed it off, said it was probably from when they used dollies to move the shelves. But she sounded uneasy. That was years ago. The library's still open. Same building, same smell of old books. But I never go inside anymore. That's all for tonight. If you made it this far, maybe leave a light on, just in case. Thanks for watching. No sleep tonight. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow and keep these horrors coming. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, sleep well.